The Wolastoq, or St. John River, has long been an important landmark in New Brunswick. It stretches from southeast Quebec through northern Maine and along western New Brunswick until it finally empties into the Bay of Fundy. It was used as a transport route by First Nations and Acadians, and today is the connection between many major cities, towns, agricultural, and forested lands in New Brunswick, Quebec, and Maine. We rely heavily on the Wolastoq's waters to irrigate our crops, for industry, including hydroelectric power, as well as for recreation. The river is an integral part of New Brunswick, and many livelihoods depend on the Wolastoq. Global climate change is a pressing issue today, but we are only just beginning to understand its effects at a local level, particularly in maritime Canada. Whether we undertake drastic action to fight climate change or not, our interactions with the Wolastoq and other waterways will be forever changed. Floods and droughts will change in frequency. Temperature, snowfall, and water quality will vary, affecting our fisheries and agricultural yields. We expect a global increase in average temperature, but what will these changes look like at a local scale? And how can we plan to adapt to and mitigate the negative effects of climate change in our region? Researchers from the University of New Brunswick, Kim Reeder, Jiayu Kang, Dr. Junyu Qi, Dr. Sheng Li, Dr. Fenri Meng, and Dr. Ahmed Shalabi, led by Dr. Charles Bork, are investigating the effects of global climate change in maritime Canada, with a particular focus on the Upper Wolastoq Basin. Part of their efforts includes the adaptation of a regional climate model, RegCM4, to maritime Canada. The regional climate model uses climate change predictions from global models and applies them to a much smaller localized area to predict specific changes at a small scale. This model considers 30 climatic variables: air temperature, precipitation, snowpack, and snowmelt, just to name a few, and predicts these variables at a 3 to 6 hour interval at a 5-kilometer resolution for most of maritime Canada and parts of southern Quebec. Predicting local changes in these environmental variables at such a fine scale allows municipalities and districts to create very specific climate change mitigation and adaptation plans. The regional climate data has many uses outside the context of the Wolastoq, such as predicting wildlife movement or shifting growing seasons, based on snow depth or seasonal rain predictions, respectively. The UNB research team is also developing tools to predict changes in flow rates and water quality in the Upper Wolastoq Basin. WETSPA, which stands for Water and Energy Transfer between Soil, Plants, and Atmosphere, is a tool that considers inputs from the regional climate model to predict changes in flow in the Wolastoq. Thus far, they've determined that ambient air temperature in the winter, or days above freezing, has the greatest effect on seasonal flow variation, as well as land conversion, mainly the clear-cutting of forested areas to make room for development. An increase in these two factors leads to greater discharge at the outlet of a watershed. This altered flow can increase flooding in certain areas, increase riverbank erosion, and change the downstream effects of runoff from fertilizer or other contaminants. Water quality is another concern for the UNB research team. Swot, the soil and water analysis tool, simulates hydrological cycles, plant growth, sediment, and nutrient yields in watersheds. Under current assumptions regarding climate change, Swot predicts reduced crop yields, wetter winters and springs, and drier growing seasons over the late spring and summers. Swot primarily considers nitrogen and phosphorus concentrations, two key ingredients in fertilizer. Changing flow patterns due to climate change will change the way runoff from both industrial and small-scale agriculture will spread downstream. The water quality and flow predictions will be refined using climatic predictions from RegCM4. These tools are important in predicting the effects of climate change on local farmlands and watersheds, including wells that provide drinking water in smaller communities. Aside from the regional climate model, these tools have been optimized for the Upper Wolastoq Basin. They can be adapted to other watersheds and expanded downriver to aid in local decision-making regarding climate adaptation and mitigation strategies. Dr. Bork's team aims to have their data available on shareable databases at the University of New Brunswick to spread their knowledge and help those around maritime Canada in understanding the effects of climate change and adapting to these changes. Their research will continue for the next 2 years, creating a better picture of climate change in New Brunswick and developing hydrology tools for use across the province, as well as potentially across Canada, to aid in climate change adaptation and mitigation efforts in various watersheds.